Good morning, Liz. I wanted to record for you what I'm going to do in class today. Today is the first day after spring break. So usually how I start my classes is always with a warm-up exercise. The warm-up exercise for both classes is always written. So they have certain things that they have to do in each level. I teach both 101, the first class, and then 102 in the second class. So this is the warm-up for the second class. I can certainly give you, I'll take pictures of those so that I can send them to you. But I wanted to tell you what I do and how I do it so that you can see. So we started class first with the warm up, and they try to remember without looking at anything. They just try to remember vocabulary, how to form the sentence, that kind of thing. Of course, things that we did the last class, and it's been now, a whole 7 days, and usually students forget a lot of things. So hopefully everything will work out today. Usually it does, but because they have had the break, I don't know how much they will remember. Okay, so after we do that, I tell them to share with each other. So they share with each other their mistakes, they talk about it. And while they're doing that, I write the answers on the board so that they can check. And then I ask them, did you guys do everything okay? Do you have any questions about it? Where were the mistakes? And then they tell you, that kind of thing. So we do that in both classes always. But today, the class that I'm going to record is the second class, the 102, because it's pretty cool class. Actually, both classes are really cool. But in the second class, these kids have been with me since 101, except for one student. No, two students. But everybody else has been with me since 101 and 102. So after we do the warm-up, what they do is they get a board, and we're studying the preterite, chapter 6, which is the food chapter. And so Guadalupe bought me, at the beginning of the semester, these boards. So what I do is I give them a board with a verb, and they have to put the number of the rule for the preterite. They have to conjugate the verb, and they have to write their name. And for that, I use a basket with, the erasers and the markers. So they're used to it. We've been doing this now for a long time, because we started with the preterite in chapter 5. We're at the end of chapter 6. And in chapter 7, we started with imperfect. And then we unite in chapter 8, preterite and imperfect. So I had to put in their brains, all the 14 rules of the preterite. And they know them pretty well. Only one student doesn't, but it's because she had an accident that affected her short-term memory. So the class always cheers for her when she remembers something well, because it's incredible that she's studying language and that she had a brain injury. So, but today I don't think she will be in class. She sent me a message that she didn't feel well today, so that's okay. But she'll come on Thursday. But, she's adorable, and like everybody just helps her tremendously and cheers for her every time she does something right. And I do too, because we know that she had a brain injury, and it affected her short-term memory. Thank God that she remembers who we are. Okay, so anyway, these are the boards for the class for 102 with all different verbs, and the verbs come from everywhere. I've been collecting verbs for a long time. I have this notebook with verbs, and I use them in 102. They don't come from the 5,000 Spanish verbs, but rather I've been collecting them from science, medicine, cooking, life in general. So anytime that I see a verb that I find interesting, I put it in my collection. So every day I take verbs from here, and I put them on the boards. So, and I put, what each verb means, so that they would learn a new verb. And so today, besides having that and discussing that, and this takes a long time, and they are really good at preterite, I'm really happy about that. Then we will ask, what did they do during spring break? So they will have to ask each other what they did, giving 2 sentences, and then the student will have to tell me what they did. what their classmate did. And after that, we're going to do a tiny little bit is one exercise that we have left that is very small in chapter 6. But then the last exercise in there is composition that they have to write using cooking verbs and quantities and food items. So I collected 59 verbs that just have to do with cooking. I'll show them to you. And again, I can give you that printout, or you can see it on D2L. It's in chapter 6. So it is right here. You can see some of the food items. But then here it says, work with your classmate and write the preparation of a simple dish. And as you can see there are 59 verbs that have to do with cooking. And we have additional information like in terms of quantities. And also they have the utensils, so they can cook and they can tell me what they do. So that usually is at the end of the class, the last half an hour. And I will try to record each section. Not all of it, I will give you an idea of what we do, because sometimes, for example, the verbs takes us about 40 minutes to do, and it's very thorough, but I will maybe record 5 students or so that you can see what we do. And these are all the boards with verbs. And they already, as I said, they are used to it. And then once we start with imperfect, then on the same board, they have to do the verb in preterite and imperfect also. But right now, only preterite, since we're finishing the chapters with preterite. And on Thursday, we start the new chapter with imperfect. But that's kind of what I wanted to tell you. And then I will record sections at a time. Sorry, I have an injury in my hand, so it's kind of hard to use my left hand. I'm totally useless today. And tomorrow is Steve's operation. So I wanted to make sure that you had this before I ran out of time, with me being at the hospital. So today was my only choice to be able to do it. And hopefully it will come out okay. But as I said, I'll record each section differently so that I can also give my hand a little bit of a break on the right hand and be in class also, okay? I will be using a mask because the doctor said that I cannot bring any kind of germs to the house. So Steve, even tonight, he has to sleep in a different room with clean sheets, new sheets, a new pillow, new towels. He cannot be even close to me at all today. So that's why I have to wear a mask today. It's not something that I do, but today I do because tomorrow he'll be in surgery and we cannot bring any germs to the house. So this is for the beginning, and I'll show you then later on in class what we do. Bye.